So today we're diving into something big. It's a project that wants to build a whole new layer for the internet. It's called the United Nations of the Earth, and yeah, it's a blueprint for completely reinventing how we communicate, how we own our identity, and maybe even how we govern ourselves online. Let's dig in and see what that's all about. But first, let's start with a question that really gets to the core of it all. I want you to think about this for a second. Who really owns your online identity? Your profiles, all your posts, your list of friends. Is it actually you, or is it the company whose app you're using? Because let's be honest, the way things work right now, a really small group of massive companies and even governments have the power to just delete your account. They can censor what you say, and they can totally control the information you get to see. And that is the fundamental problem this whole project is trying to fix. So that brings us to the first big topic, the problem with our internet. We're talking about how this centralized control creates some really fundamental risks. And look, this isn't just about being annoyed that a post gets taken down. This goes way deeper. It's about power and it's about freedom. And here's a breakdown of those dangers. Think about it. Your entire digital identity, it can be wiped out in a second. Poof, gone. Your personal data is constantly being packaged up and sold to the highest bidder. And your speech, it can be censored, just like that, if you break some rule. A rule that, by the way, can change whenever they want. All this power in the hands of a few means that at the end of the day, you're not really in control of your own life online. Okay, so how do you even start to fix a problem that's so massive, so baked into the system? Well, the answer this project proposes isn't just about code. It's actually philosophical. It all begins with what they call a Declaration of Digital Rights. And check out this quote from that declaration. It says, "We, the united people of the earth, declare our collective right to self-governance." Whoa. That sets a seriously ambitious tone, right? It's framing this whole thing not as just another app, but as a huge movement towards self-governance. It's trying to echo those massive historical moments when power shifted away from kings and rulers and back to the people. And these principles are the absolute bedrock of the whole idea. First, pretty simple. You own yourself. The idea that every single person has the right to think and speak for themselves without being controlled. Second, no one can censor you. Your basic rights aren't optional extras. But the third one, this is the real kicker. Rights are built in. These aren't just some terms of service you click agree on. The idea is to write these rights directly into the protocol itself, to make them like unbreakable laws of math. All right, so that all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually build something like that? Well, that's where the tech comes in. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the foundation, a new protocol that's supposed to make this whole vision possible. So try to think of this foundation protocol not as a website or an app you download, but more like the rules of the road for communication, kind of like the basic protocols for email or the web. But here's the massive difference. It is built from the ground up to be completely decentralized. That means no single company, no government, nobody can shut it down or control it. And the first piece of this puzzle is a totally radical new way of thinking about identity. So forget emails, forget passwords. Instead, you generate a set of unique cryptographic keys right there on your own device. That key, that is your identity. It's yours and yours alone. It's not tied to Google, not tied to Facebook. It's completely independent. And this comparison really spells it out. On the one hand, you've got platform identity. That's the world we're in now. It's controlled by some company, it can be deleted, and your data is their product. But on the other hand, you have sovereign identity, an identity that you own forever. No one can take it away. And your data, it stays on your device, with you. It's a fundamental shift. Okay, but if there's no central company, how do you trust anyone? How do you know a message is really from who it says it's from? Well, the answer is signed messages. It works like this. You write a message, and your device signs it with your super secret private key. Then anyone on the network can use your public key to check that signature. If it matches, they know two things for sure. It's really from you, and it hasn't been messed with. It creates this amazing system of communication that is totally verifiable and tamper-proof. And this simple idea, this incredibly powerful tool of having a verifiable identity and verifiable messages, well, that's the foundation for something so much bigger. We're moving beyond just fixing social media here. We're starting to talk about governance. All right. Let's take that leap. How does this tech stack up to build a global democracy? We're going from lines of code all the way to a global constitution.
So just like that Declaration of Independence we saw earlier, there's also a formal constitution, and this quote from the beginning of it really lays out the vision. We, the people of Earth, establish this constitution to create a world of equality, justice, and sustainable prosperity. The goal is to use all that tech we just talked about to build a system of governance for everyone.
So how would it work? The proposed structure has a few layers. You've got a global council for the big decisions, regional assemblies to handle more local stuff, and a citizen platform where everyone can participate directly. And the key to it all is the technology. You see things like blockchain-based voting. Now that might sound complicated, but just think of it as a public, unchangeable record of all votes. Everyone can see the vote happened, but your personal identity is kept private. It's a way to use that cryptography we talked about to make sure every vote is secure, transparent, and actually counts. Now, obviously, something this ambitious isn't going to happen overnight. This is a long-term play. The roadmap starts with just building the basic foundation: the documents, the AI, the core code. Then it moves into building the infrastructure, like the blockchain, and creating digital citizenship. After that, it's about scaling up, maybe integrating with existing nations. And then, over the long haul, we're talking 3 to 15 years, working towards real global adoption. Okay, so we've looked at the problem, the big ideas, the tech, and this massive plan for the future. So what's the takeaway? What does this all really mean for us? Well, here are the core takeaways. First, the idea that you can truly own your digital identity. It's not just rented from a corporation. Second, that our communication online can be both uncensorable and verifiable. You can have both freedom and truth. Third, that technology can be a foundation for transparent governance, not just a tool for surveillance and control. And finally, that this isn't just a fantasy. It's a real blueprint for a new kind of digital democracy. When you boil it all down, this whole project is about one thing: a fundamental shift in who or what we trust. It's about moving away from putting our faith in institutions, which we know can be flawed or even corrupt, and instead placing our trust in something else: math, in open, verifiable code. The ultimate goal is a system that serves people, built on what you could call cryptographic truth, instead of institutional authority. And that leaves us with one last, pretty mind-bending question to chew on. You know, for centuries, our societies have been built on constitutions and laws written on paper. The big question this project is asking is, in our digital age, could math and code become the foundation for a truly global democracy? It's a huge question for sure, but it's definitely one worth thinking about.